Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lucky Dog Sim Racing Gen 6 Series, not Gen 6 Series, Truck Series. Sorry, my apologies, here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. After an absolutely fantastic race on Tuesday night, looking forward to something very similar this evening. Charlotte, a very difficult track. Once you have that line down, you absolutely make so much time, so much pace. I'm hesitant to say which line we're going to see prevail this evening. We were expecting more people running the bottom on Tuesday, and it turned out the top line was the superior line to go over the long run here in Charlotte. Could be the exact opposite, could be the exact same. We'll see how it plays out tonight. We'll go ahead and go through your starting lineup here. Starting in first place, the 777 of Michael Pegg to his outside, the 78 of Gary Slipinski. Those two having an absolute monster season so far. Starting third, we have the number 4 of Larry Eddy, and fourth, the 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut. Starting fifth is the 50 of Todd Willis. Starting sixth, the 99 of Dan Witt. Starting seventh is the 43 of Sandy Curtis. To his outside and eighth is the 19 of Ben Gear. Ninth, we have the 33 of Gary Ragland. Starting in 10th, the 00 of Thomas Holder. 11th, we have the 89 of Randolph Richard. Starting 12th, we have the 009 of Brian Miskell Jr. Starting 13th, we have the 59 of Ralph Blair. 14th, we have the 129 of Kim Kraus. The 75 is not starting this race. That is yours truly just running some test laps. So instead, starting 15th will be the 52 of Gary Whitmer. Starting 16th will be the 74 of Mr. Robert Jordan. Starting 17th will be the number 85 of Al Cena. Starting 17th is Al Cena. 18th is the 27 of Richard Brose. Starting 19th is the 91 of Mr. Joel Guy. And then 21st we have the 20th we have the 17 of John B. And 21st the 58 of Chris Hogue. Very nice field we have out here. 100 laps long race. We have some of the best drivers in iRacing running it, so should be a fun one. Pace car brings our field through turns 3 and 4. You may see a variation of pit strategies tonight. It'll be all fun to watch. Pace car comes down pit road. Michael Pegg leads him down the front stretch. Green flag is in the air here at Charlotte. Excellent start from the front row. Top lane gets a little better start with the 23 able to edge out the 4 just a little bit, but up front is 777 and 78 side by side there for a while. 78 drops down in line behind Michael Pegg. Starts pushing him down the back stretch. And while the front 3 may have single filed out, we take a look back just a little bit further. They are 2 by 2 by 2, starting with the number 4 of Larry Eddy racing the number 99 of Dan Witt. Very hard for that 4th position. This is not a track where, so far as I'm aware, that top lane is where you want to be stuck for a long period of time. Oh, 19 of Ben Gear gets into the 50 of Todd Willis. Caution is out. Numerous cars involved. Looks like the 17, 19, 50. Bunch of cars. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that. Not certain what happened. Watch the 50 and the 19 going through turn 2. Bunch of trucks involved. We'll go back and we'll take a look at each of them, see what happened. Take a second here. We'll go ahead and we'll go from the far chase cam. They're making it through turns 1 and 2 just fine. 50 slides up a little bit, you know, nothing too crazy there. Keeps it down off the 19. Looks like the 19 was coming down a little bit as the 50 was going up. Yeah, it looks like they were just fighting for the same piece of real estate. We'll watch one more time from our friend the Chopper. So make it through. Yeah, the 19 comes off the wall at the same time the 50's coming up the track, and that collects the 33, the 00. We'll go ahead and we will ride along with the 85 of Alcina. See if we can see how this looked from back here. I believe Al made it through without too much of a problem. See the smoke and the cars scattering. Al able to clear it very easy. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at that from the 33's perspective. Right along with Gary Ragland here. He sees that happen. He tries to come down the track, just gets tagged by the 50. He's able to keep it off the wall, so that'll be some minor contact. That truck should be a-okay. We'll take a look again from the 00 here. Having a little bit of issue with the camera there. Let's get that fixed. There we go. So he's running through behind the 43. Sandy Curtis, I believe, in the 43 gets clear of this pretty easy. He darts down the track. Oh, it was the 00 that caught the 13. Big damage to the 00. So that'll be a fast repair for him. Not what any of those drivers wanted to have, especially this early on. Every single one of these trucks has 2 fast repairs. So there's nothing that they can't repair, but you don't want to be racing one fast repair down. You definitely don't want to have used both of them. However, some drivers I have noticed tend to race better when they don't have the fast repair safety net. So, not certain exactly how that will play out, but we'll keep an eye on all these drivers. We don't want to forget anybody, any of the incidents they've had today, because that will affect their race going forward. But lights are out on the pace car. Field is doubling up. We will be going green the next time by. Michael Pegg is still your leader in the 777. 78 of Gary Slipinski is still second. We have the 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut. He's up 1 position from the start. He's in third. The 99 of Dan Witt made up 2 positions from 6th to 4th. And the number 4 of Larry Eddy started third, dropped back to 5th. That will be your top 5. This pace car leads them into turn 3. I tell you, someone to keep an eye on all night long. 99 of Dan Witt already made it up to the 4th position. Saw he was running very, very hard there on the outside. He's going to have a little older, maybe not a little older, but maybe a little more worn tires than the folks in front of him. But he's hungry. He wants him to win. He's definitely one to keep an eye on as they head back down towards start-finish line. Green flag is up. Gary Spinski in the 78 gets a better launch than the 777 of Michael Pegg does. They are side by side going into turn one. Is Gary going to do what he did last time and lift to get behind the 777? Looks like he lets up just a little bit to let the 777 by, not wanting to race him too hard. 23 ducks in behind them. 99 hot on his heels. So 4 of Larry Eddy dives to the inside, trying to take that position back. Back to running side by side with Dan Witt. These two were running side by side before that caution came out. Yet the 43 is Sandy Curtis just waiting in the wings. Larry Eddy not quite able to edge out the 99. If he can clear him here off of 4, it'll be wonderful for him. They'd be able to save some tire for a change. 43 though follows the 4 through, comes to the 99's inside. Sandy Curtis wasting no time making up position. Sandy started 7th, currently running in 6th position, currently fighting for 5th with Dan. Pulled a bumper out ahead coming out of 2, but as we saw with the 4, it's going to take a few laps for the 43 to be able to make that pass. He's not able to keep it alongside Dan coming out of 4, so he just falls in line. 89, Randolph Richard tags the wall a little bit. Since the update, these trucks have gotten a lot sturdier, so that damage shouldn't affect his truck too badly. So he hits that wall and drops back to the 9th place. Pretty much the entire field having single filed out right now. We go ahead and we take a look through. Everyone pretty much just following the guy ahead of them. Like we were talking about earlier, this track is absolutely brutal on tires. It is not a track that is forgiving at all of mistakes. We see the 33 of Gary Ragland. Gary up to 7th after being involved in that caution. He's challenging the 74 of Robert Jordan there. He's got the 89 of Randolph Richard to his outside going into turn 1. These 3 all racing very hard, very close together, trying to decide who's going to challenge Sandy Curtis for that 6th spot. And while the 33 is not able to get the run off the corner he needs to be able to maintain the position, 89 of Randolph Richard at the same time running that high line, he has to run a lot harder than the people below him do. That's probably going to wear out that right front tire a little bit more. I hope that truck doesn't have damage. Definitely doesn't seem like it's running with any damage. He's able to get it up alongside the 43 there, exit a turn 2 down the backstretch, moves the 43 down the track. Sandy has a very shallow line. That's going to back him up to the 74. Randolph able to clear. Working his way to the front, now challenging Dan Witt for the 5th place spot. Sandy Curtis not going to appreciate that. Sandy, a very aggressive driver, would not be surprised to see Sandy maybe pinch Randolph the next time he tries to pass Randolph. Sandy, a very clean driver. He won't wreck him. He won't give him much room either. You see the difference in these lanes. Randolph Richard running on the outside. He's able to get the throttle down sooner than everyone else around him. He gets a massive run down the backstretch. Pushed the 4 of Larry Eddy all the way down the backstretch after having cleared the 99 of Dan Witt to take over the 5th position. Randolph Richard is not saving anything in this truck. He is running as hard as he can. That high line really working his advantage. He's able to get down to the bottom underneath the 4 of Larry Eddy, challenging for that 4th position. He's able to clear him so far. If he can slide up in front of the 4, But the 4 gets that crossover coming out of turn 4. That momentum that he was able to grab clears the 89 easily before turn 1. Randolph is now back in the trailing position. Up front, though, not much is different. 777 of Michael Pegg, the 78 of Gary Slipinski, the 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut, all running 1, 2, 3. Running just about nose to tail, about a truck's length in between the 3 of them. These 3 know, so long as we don't have a caution, the long game is the game you have to play here at Charlotte. They're taking care of their tires. Michael Pegg here dictating the speed of this race because he's out front, has none of that dirty air. He's able to keep those tires relatively cool. Gary Slipinski and Ray Zerkut have to work a little bit harder to keep their tires in line. Those 2 are probably the 2 in the... If they can keep up with Michael Pegg, those 2 probably be the 2 to keep an eye on, as the 99 has dropped back here to the 8th place. Dan maybe dropping back. We did realize during practice, these trucks have, if you're running as hard as you can, about 44, 45 laps of fuel. And if you're running as hard as you can, you have to stop twice, even with that caution that we had. But here with, because we had that caution, these trucks, if you run a race where you're saving some fuel, you can make it over 50 laps on 1 tank of fuel, and that might be what we see the 99 doing. He's taking advantage of the people back here to pull his truck along so he can save a little fuel. So if he can make this entire race in 1 stop. Oh, 99 gets hooked by the 74, Robert Jordan. Straight into the wall. And that negates the entire fuel strategy that we were talking about. So we'll take a look. 99 had a fantastic run on Robert Jordan. No contact between the 2 of them going through turns 1 and 2. 99 able to get it down on that white line. Gets an excellent run. Keeps it a lane down off the 74. It looks like the 74 came down the track and just turned him. We'll take a look again from our friend the Chopper. That's how it looked. They were close coming off 2. Well, friends, I think that's pretty much exactly how we called it. We'll watch it one more time from the chase cam here. Watch from the far chase cam. 99 moves up a little bit. That 74 comes down, tags him in the right rear, straight into the outside wall. That's probably going to be a fast repair for Dan Witt. This will solve not only the tire problem, we're definitely looking at a lot of tire fall off over that run, but at the exact same time, it's going to solve the fuel issue, everyone on the same strategy. And so everyone comes down pit road, takes 4 tires and fuel. We have no change. I am incorrect. We do have a change to our top 5. We have Michael Pegg started first, still in first. We have the 78 of Gary Slipinski, started second, still in second. Ray Zerkut started 4th in 3rd. Larry Eddy has moved himself back up to 4th. And Sandy Curtis from 7th to the top 5. That is Michael, Gary, 23 of Ray Zerkut, the 4 of Larry Eddy, and the 43. And that Kyle Petty style throwback is your 5th place truck. As we're going around the track, we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can pull someone up the booth to maybe talk to him here. I think we'll go ahead and we will grab our leader, Mr. Michael Pegg. Hey, Michael, this is William in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, this is one heck of a race here. Started first. You've led every lap so far. How's the truck feeling?
Great. Handles great. Nice setup.
Well, so looking back through the field, you know, most folks running the bottom trying to mirror your line coming around here, but we have a couple guys trying what Randolph Richard is, really making time there on the outside. How viable do you think the top side is here in the long run?
And it's going to eat his tires up. But some people can run that high side. You're really good at it. We'll see what he does. But I like the low side. You know me. I'm a bottom feeder.
Yeah, no, you seem to have that lift point there for turns 1 and 3 figured out. I saw you giving some guys some pointers there in practice.
Yeah, trying to keep it. They get good tire wear. They don't overdrive it. You know, just keep the right line. You'll be there at the end.
All righty. Well, you know, with these 2 cautions, I know you and I were talking before the race, and I was talking with the viewers during the race about, you know, differing fuel strategies. This pretty much throws all that out the window. I think that puts us all on even footing.
With that caution, we actually had about 51, 52 laps of fuel we were going to go, but I was still going to stop because I just I wanted to race it out. I didn't want to be short on fuel on the other end, even if we did make it to 50.
Well, since no one has to save fuel to make it halfway to do this in one stop, is there anyone in the field you're particularly worried about challenging as the race goes on?
Number 78, yes, sir.
He is one to keep an eye on.
Yes, and Al Satan's laying back there like a snake somewhere.
Well, we'll keep an eye on both of them. Looks like you guys will be going back to green scene. We'll let you get back with your team.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. That was your race leader, Michael Pegg. Very patient driver. Take his time, even if the 78's able to get by him. 23 or the 4, anyone's able to get by him. He'll be that guy who's got that extra % left in his tires that you got to really worry about in the closing laps of these races. And the gentleman he was talking about, 85 of Al Cena, no slouch himself. Al here started 18th, running 6th. So we are getting set to go back green. Green flag is out. 78 able to get a jump on this 777. Absolutely monster start. With as close as these guys are, I don't know that he's going to be able to drop down behind the 777 like he has the last few laps. The 23 really closed that door. He's able to help the 777 clear going down the backstretch. He's got the 23 of Ray to his inside. He's not able to do quite what he wants to do running that high line, though. He had to get in the throttle unless he was going to get eaten up by the rest of the field. Ray backs off going into turn 1, lets the 78 drop down, doesn't want to be stuck behind the 78 for too long. See the 4 of Larry Eddy up the track a little bit, trying to get some clean air on the front of that truck. He's got the 43 of Sandy Curtis hot on his heels. These two trying to figure out how do we negotiate the 23 of Ray. Ray, a very methodical racer. Ray definitely one of the more interesting drivers style-wise here in Lucky Dog. One thing he really does not like about a lot of racing is the use of fast repairs. He himself refuses to use them. So if he gets terminal damage on that truck, he'll just, you know, take it in the garage and park it like you'd expect to see in real life. He's very... He's a big fan of tradition in that regard, but that also makes him dangerous because he's the only one on this track running, essentially running with only one car, everyone else having two backup cars. So he's very apt to take care of his truck, give people a wide berth. Love running with Ray. There's a lot you can learn running around a guy like Ray Zerkut. He definitely knows his truck. Notice he's backed off a little bit from the rear bumper of the 78. Wants to get a little bit more air on his nose. You can see the 4 of Larry Eddy emulating that a little bit. Not only is he hanging back a little bit from Ray, he's also about a quarter of a lane further up the track trying to keep that right side in air, keep it cool, keep some downforce on that side of the truck, make sure he's still able to turn it. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look a little further back here in the field. The 50 of Todd Willis involved in that first caution. He's able to get himself back up to the 7th position, racing around the 00 of Thomas Holder. These two trying to iron out who's going to challenge the 85 of Alcina next. 00 has a little bit of a moment. 50 tags the wall trying to keep out of him. Both these trucks keep going straight. That's going to slow them down a little bit. It's the 85 of Alcina. Works on the rear bumper of Sandy Curtis. Drops back a little bit. He's got the 00 all over him. Thomas backs off a little bit going into turn 3. Has excellent momentum though coming down the front stretch. You can see our top, that last car in line looks like the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. Our top 9 all running single file through the corners. Just taking their time. All 9 of these drivers wanting to get a good long green flag run. Because I think they know for the most part, this race is going to be decided by who saves their tires the best, who's got the best pit strategy, who pits when. As we take a look a little further back, 59 of Ralph Blair currently running in 10th. He's sitting far enough back from Gary Whitmer Sr. that the dirty air off of Sr.'s truck's not really messing with Ralph here, but unfortunately for him, at the same time, the closest truck behind him is the 74 of Robert Jordan, so he has no draft help, no draft push, nor a draft pull to help him get back up to those leaders. If he's going to catch him, he's going to have to do it just by driving faster, and unfortunately, that's just going to wear his tires out faster than anyone else. So if there's one person on this track right now thinking about pit strategy, how do I make up this time? It's Ralph Blair, but we've seen him run down leaders from this far back before and contend at the end. He seems to be preferring running that middle line right there along that seam. We can take a step back a little bit further, check in on 91 of Joel Guy. Joel currently running in the 18th position, showing 2 laps down. Had some difficulties early on. So if we have another caution, he will be our lucky dog. He's got the 19 of Ben Gear with him. 33 of Gary Ragland. Both these two involved in prior caution, shuffled them to the back of the field. These two just running, trying to take care of their trucks right now. We've already had, we had a caution there on, early on, I do believe it was lap 2, and then we had one around lap 21. These two are able to take care of their trucks. They may be able to play the pit strategy game, make up some time. hop a little bit forward. Something odd to see. Sorry, backward. I apologize. The 129 of Kim Kraus started 14th, running 15th. Kim usually not this far back at this point in a race. Usually one of the folks running, fighting well within the top 10. Got to wonder if maybe that truck's just not handling to his liking. Hopefully we'll see Kim further up in the running order later on in the race. We'll go ahead and we'll pop back to our leader, Michael Pegg. Lap 40, having led every single lap so far. So those front three starting to build a little bit of a gap. Only 0.2 of a second between Gary Sapinski and Ray Zerkut, but it's a 0.3 of a second, 0.4 almost, between Ray in the 23, Larietti in the 4. And this has been a battle. We saw it was brewing earlier. It is in full swing. The 43 and the 85 racing hard there for 5th place. The 4 of Larietti sort of just playing spoiler. Neither one of them can really get a run on the high side to get past him. Larry moves up the track. Sandy opts to keep it low, 85. Alcina looking around, seeing where he can go. But that 4 just running his race, really making it difficult for the 43 and the 85 to really get a pass done on each other. They decide to settle it down a little bit, run single file for a bit, let those tires cool off. Sandy Curtis keeping it pinned down towards the bottom while Larietti's drifting it out to the wall. Sandy gets an excellent run there off of turn 4, but you got to wonder how much damage is that doing to the right front tire. And as he was able to do that, he's bringing the 85 out, Cena right along the 4 of Larietti. Al lifts a little bit, lets the 4 get out ahead of it. Definitely does not want to get caught below Larry for an extended period of time. It's not quite clear, able to back off just a little bit to get back in behind the 4. So 43 starts to try and pull some distance on Larry. A little further back, we got the 50, Todd Willis. Was able to negotiate the 00 of Thomas Holder, take the 6th position. He's trying to track down our leaders. So go ahead and we'll take another look up here to the front. We were mentioning they were building a little bit of a gap. Just in the time that we weren't looking, that is the gap that Michael Pegg and Gary Sapinski have pulled out on the field. Looked like there was a problem there. Mr. Ray Zerkut. Looks like he may have made damage on his truck, tagged the wall on the right side. He's pulled that truck down pit road and gotten out. So that is Ray's race, unfortunately, but him, I'm going to assume, having an issue. That's what really separated these front two from now 3rd place Sandy Curtis. 1.7 seconds, 1.8 seconds now between Gary Slapinski and Sandy Curtis. So there's no draft help that Sandy can get from the front to get him closer to these two. Sandy having to run very defensively. The 85 as Alcina is able to get by Sandy pretty convincingly coming out of 4 there. Michael Pegg was mentioning Al, driver we really need to keep an eye on. He's one of the people who's sitting in the back of Michael Pegg's mind that he's going to have to worry about in the twilight laps of this race. We'll see if he's able to close up this gap, currently sitting just under 2 seconds back from the leaders. Was able to close it up a little bit there in turns 3 and 4. If he can catch him little by little. So they pull out about 1/10 of a second there going down the backstretch, and he closes it right back up there on the entrance of turn 3. So it looks like maybe Al's got a little better back half of the course, but those two being able to work together. Gary Slipinski giving Michael Pegg an excellent push along the straightaways. It's letting them build that distance back up on Al that he's able to make in the corners. See Gary running a little bit of a different line. He knows running right behind Michael, running right in his tire tracks lap after lap after lap. That's not going to do him any favors in the long run. Running a little bit higher, keep that nose clean, try and preserve the life of that right front. Just there for a couple laps, it looks like, as we can look, he's right back there running in Michael's tire tracks. And they haven't really lost any time to Al doing this. These two very much just running their race. Take a look back at the 85. Al Cena pulling away from the 43 here, Sandy Curtis. About a half a second gap between the two of them. So Sandy's able to use Al's slipstream to keep him up there, but looks like all that racing that Sandy had to do, and he had to do a lot of racing to clear not only the 85, but he was also working on the 23 there for several laps. That looks like it may have really taken its toll on the tires of that truck. He seems to have fallen off quite a bit. I mean, he's not too much slower than our leaders, only about 1/10 of a second a lap, but that can add up rapidly lap over lap over lap. Take a second here. We'll look back to our 5th place driver, the 50 of Todd Willis. Todd here having cleared the 4 of Larry Eddy. Larry running that, what looks to be that top lane. He's fallen back into the clutches of the 59 of Ralph Blair. He's 4 running that top lane, trying to see what he can do to maybe save a little bit of tire, but that 59, it's a much faster line it looks like the 59 has going through the corners. Right down there on the bottom of the track. Ralph, though, not able to clear Larry coming out of turn 2. His turns 3 and 4 last lap was a lot better than Larry's. Right up there against the wall. Not able to make up the exact same amount of space he was the last time they were through there, but he is a nose ahead as they head towards turns 1 and 2. He's able to clear him there on corner entry, and that's exactly what he needed, because now he can go ahead and slide right up to the wall, take full advantage of the whole track. So that shallow entry and shallow exit, that is not friendly to tire wear, as we well know. Larry Eddy getting a little bit of a draft pull from the 59, doing what he can to stay in this thing. It looks like, he was doing quite a bit of really hard racing, forced up towards the top of the track. Some of it, depending on how he ran that top line when he was forced up there, it may have worn out that right front to where the only place he can run is the top. Go ahead and we'll scan back a little bit. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the 00 here of Thomas Holder. Thomas negotiating the lap traffic of Joel Guy. Thomas running right up there against the wall. It's been 35 laps since all of these trucks came down pit road. This is our longest green flag run of the night. And so we are seeing the effects old tires are having. You can see trucks, more and more trucks are flirting with that outside wall. It's 129 of Kim Kraus. Opts come down pit road here. Looks like he brings what looks to be the 33 of Gary Ragland. This is the kind of strategy we were expecting to see earlier on. People running those alternate pit strategies. But at this point, you got to wonder, 37 laps on these tires. Have they pitted too early? I mean, they probably couldn't have pitted any later. They would have run out of time. They're both also very, very far back in the order. Both Kim Kraus and Gary Ragland currently showing 1 lap down. As Kim just comes off pit road. Our leader, Michael Pegg, is heading through the quad oval at full speed. So we'll go ahead and we'll expand this out a little bit. We'll see. They're able to stay together. 129 of Kim Kraus just off pit road. He's able to keep it there on the bottom. That's going to force the 777 of Michael Pegg maybe to move up for a little bit. And you can already tell the difference between fresh tires and old tires. Just that one turn, Kim Kraus able to pull out further ahead. But he pitted from about half a track back. So he's going to have to run pretty hard to make up time on these two drivers. And if they pit before he's able to get about 10, 12 seconds ahead of them, he'll have no chance of catching them. He already pulled out what looks to be 3-4 seconds, and that's just in 1 lap. Let's go ahead and let you sort of visualize the difference in these tires. Michael's last time by, he ran a 31.6. Kim's last time by, he ran a 30.1. Sorry, 31.6 for Michael, 30.1 for Kim. So that's a 1.5 second difference that these two are running. And that's the kind of thing that we're also going to be taking a look at between the 78 and the 777. Which one of them is going to pit first? Which one's going to blink first? Because he'll be able to make up a lot of time on the track. Even if they only pit 1 lap apart, they'll make up a lot of time. So 33 of Gary Ragland starts working on our leaders, trying to get his lap back. He's able to pass them both very convincingly. These two both 42 laps on their tires. I'll tell you who I'm really keeping an eye on, and it's exactly who they're keeping an eye on as well. The 85 of Al Cena. Al currently sitting 2.3 seconds back, now 2.4 seconds back from these two. If he pits and they stay out for a couple laps, Al has a very good chance of running them down. Here he comes down pit road. We called it. And so now we want to know, because these two have to respond. The 777 and the 78, they have to respond to this. And they have to do so now. That 85's already shown he is one fast cat. That's not someone you want to hand a massive advantage to. 85 will only have to run 35 laps on these tires. 777 and the 78 opt to stay out. They put the 85 a lap down. Al, the Ghost Rider Cena, is down and away from his pit box. We can already look and see 120. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look from the blimp here. The 129, he pit just a few laps ago. Go ahead and we'll take a look here. The 129 pit 8 laps ago. He's running right here coming out of turn 4, our leader, Michael Pegg, opted to come down pit road, but the 78 of Gary Slapinski, at the same time that the 129 was coming out of 4, the 78 was going into 3. Gary Slapinski opting to come pit road. Get 4 tires and fuel on that. They know this is their biggest threat right here. Coming out of turn 4, absolutely hauling through the quad oval. How much time was he able to make up on Michael Pegg? Michael Pegg exiting pit road. Here comes the 85, full head of steam. Clears the 777 of Michael Pegg, and he's got the 43 of Sandy Curtis with him. Sandy currently showing in the 5th position. Al showing 4th. See where Gary Slapinski blends. Gary's able to get, not certain how he did that. Absolutely phenomenal pit stop. Not only was he able to come down and away, both the 777 and the 85 are caught behind him. Absolutely phenomenal pit stop, perfect pit entry, perfect pit exit. That's not what any of these guys wanted to see. As we know from experience how fast the 78 is, and once he's out front, how hard it is to not only catch Gary Slapinski, but pass Gary Slapinski. Alsina here having the benefit of getting a little bit of draft tow from Gary, but already it's not long they've been out. It's only 3 laps difference. That tire wear already showing between Gary and Alsina. Gary 0.2 of a second faster that time by. That's also let the 777 of Michael Pegg creep ever so much closer to Sandy Curtis and Alsina. His lap, his tires, only 2 laps difference between him and Al. But he is closing right on the back of the 43 of Sandy Curtis. Here's what we'll do, something we've not been able to do all night so far. We're going to go ahead and we're going to ride along with the 85 of Alsina. It's always a fantastic thing to do, ride along with a driver as talented as Al. 777 of Michael Pegg slowly works on finding his way around Al. As you heard, where they're having the lift, how Al's having to feather that throttle going through the corner. This track, we mentioned it before, you can definitely hear it, you can definitely see it. You can definitely see it. This track absolutely tears up tires. He was running fairly easy through turns 1 and 2. And you could hear that right front tire just crying from all of the pressure that was being put on it. And some tracks you can run easy through the corner, you don't hear the tires at all. Here at Charlotte, it does not matter. And you can even hear the tire wear over the engine sounds even from this far away from the camera. This is your race for second. The 78 of Gary Slipinski having checked out, currently 0.8 of a second ahead of these two. Michael Pegg going to work on Alcina there on the outside. Sandy Curtis has fallen off. Michael Pegg able to clear Al. 89 of Randolph Richard came down pit road 6 laps ago, trying to work his way through traffic, get back to Gary Slipinski and get his lap back. So while it was what he had to do, does not appear that it has worked out quite to the advantage of the 85 like he was hoping, pitting early. Definitely the best thing to do to try and make up that deficit, but unfortunately not enough. It's only about a half second off of Michael Pegg, so he still has that draft pull that he can get, but Gary Slipinski now 0.9 of a second out. Just slowly building that lead. That last time by, he was about 1.5 tenths faster than Michael was. It is absolutely astonishing the lap time 78 is putting down out here by himself, while you have Michael Pegg and Alcina behind him, who have the benefit of a draft pull from each other, from the 89 for a little bit from the 78. As Randolph Richard is able to successfully track down Gary Slipinski, running that higher lane, trying to get as fast as far as he can. Just not able to get there. He's able to get to the inside of the 78. Slides up a little bit, able to get his lap back. Gary goes for the crossover, trying to maintain his momentum. He does not want to lose any kind of time to Michael Pegg. Michael led the most laps tonight so far. Don't believe anyone else will be able to challenge for that. 89 not able to stay out ahead. He's going to try again, it looks. Gary this time able to get to the bottom before Randolph got to his inside. But what this is doing, this is slowing Gary down. Especially now that he's going to be looking forward to the 33. Gary Ragland, getting ready to put Gary Ragland a lap down. How is negotiating this lap traffic going to slow him down and allow Michael Pegg to catch up? So far, it hasn't at all. Gary's able to pull out another 10th on Michael. Michael trying to, like, what do I got to do? Hoping this lap traffic slows Gary down. Gary very fortunate to catch the lap traffic in a position where he's able to get by it, not be stuck on the bottom side coming out of a corner, which would destroy his momentum. See, Michael working his way around the 33 of Gary Ragland, was able to get around him just as well as Gary Slipinski was. Run as hard as he was, it looks like maybe the 89 wore out that right front trying to catch the 78 and pass him, get his lap back. He was running exceptionally hard trying to get past Gary Slipinski. And take an opportunity to go back through our field, starting with Gary Slipinski. He started second, currently running first, 18 laps into this green flag run. It's been quite a bit of fall off, about a second a lap fall off on these tires here in 18 laps. Gary, an absolute master at maintaining tire wear as he heads off into turn 3 and through turn 4, trying to negotiate the number 74 of Robert Jordan. Let's go ahead and we'll take a step back. We'll look at the 777 of Michael Pegg. Michael still looking to see what can he do to catch Gary Slipinski. The gap now 1.5 seconds. He's got a nice draft pull from the 89 of Randolph Richard going down the straightaways. And then he's able to keep his nose clear going through the corners. So that's helpful in the long run, but it doesn't appear as though he's able to make up any time. Gary just able to keep scooting away. Take an opportunity to look back at the 85 of Al Cena. Al 3.4 seconds back, running in third. Al, I do believe, is our biggest mover of the night. Started 18th, running third currently. Was very quiet to the early portion of the race, and once those cautions happened, those pit cycles went through, he was able to jump himself up from 18th to 8th, then under that green flag stop, able to get himself into the lead for a little bit. Currently running third. Take a look back again to the 43 of Sandy Curtis, running about 8.5 seconds back from our leader. Sandy been firmly in the top 5 most of the night. Just had to do a lot of racing this evening. He's been side by side, door to door with a number of guys for many, many laps. That just wears your truck out, especially at a track like this. This isn't a track like Michigan or Fontana where you can do that lap after lap after lap and get away with it. Charlotte, you got to make your passes and you got to make them quick, and unfortunately Sandy just around a whole bunch of people who were fighting just as hard as he was. Entertaining to watch, but unfortunately for Sandy, just wore his stuff out. So that's probably the first person here begging for a caution so he can get right back up to those leaders. We'll take a look at the 59 of Ralph Blair. Ralph been fairly quiet most of the night as we hit 10 to go. Ralph started 13th, running 5th. Been very quiet, very consistent all night. Was able to get around that first caution without any problems. Just been slowly marching his way forward since. Take a look back again to the 50 of Todd Willis. Todd was our 5th place starter, currently running 6th. So he's about just a little bit where he started, only 2 seconds back from Ralph Blair, 14 off of Gary Slipinski. So that 5th place still very much in the cards for him if he can track down Todd Willis here within the next 8 laps. And that is always possible. He's only sitting, man, just a little bit less than 2 seconds back. So it's very doable from here. Just look back again to the, let's see if I can find him here, the 009 of Brian Miskell Jr. Hadn't really seen too much of Brian Jr. here all night. He started back 12th, currently running 8th. Do believe he was caught up in that first caution. He's had a fairly successful recovery drive. Brian here, I'm not certain. I haven't seen him on the track before, so I think he's one of our new drivers. Always like to see new drivers here in Lucky Dog, always welcoming new drivers. Lucky Dog always on the lookout for skilled competitors. So be able to bounce back from that caution running firmly inside the top 10. We have to take our hats off and commend Brian here for his tenacity. It looks like he has caught the 4 of Larry Eddy. who I forgot to mention, and that is my mistake, Larry running 7th. But he has fallen into the clutches of the 009. Brian Jr. able to get to Larry's outside. Brian running a very consistent race, it looks like, there up top. Stops Larry from being able to slide out to the wall, gets an excellent run down the backstretch, clears him for 7th. Brian Jr. now from the record at 7th place. Excellent run from that gentleman. Let's go ahead and we will take a look back to our last lead lap car, the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr., most tenured driver here in Lucky Dog. Just running his race, enjoying his evening in that CC's Pizza Chevy. He tags the wall a little bit, keeps it going straight. I was right in front of our leader, Gary Slapinski. So it's going to back him up to the 78, put him a lap down, but keeps it going straight, so we stay green. I know I've hit that wall at that angle plenty of times before and have not been able to save it. So that's an attestation to how excellent the car control of the 52 is. Just worn out tires, not able to maintain the speed that maybe he was hoping. Fighting to stay on the lead lap, but fortunately unable to as the 78 of Gary Sapinski draws alongside, not able to clear him. But Senior, being the gentleman he is, backs off, lets Gary go. Doesn't want to hold him up. And you got the 777 of Michael Pegg back here like, man, could you just run side by side with him a little bit? I could catch him. But as it looks like right now, 2.5 seconds between Gary Sapinski and Michael Pegg. This might be Gary's race to lose. Both of these drivers absolutely dominant this evening. Those two running 1-2 for just about the entire night. Not certain how he was able to keep that 78 ahead of those trucks with fresh tires there during that pit cycle, but absolutely monstered his pit stop and was able to come off pit road with about a half a second lead. It was a 14-second stop, so we know he took 2 tires. But Gary Slapinski, I believe your points leader here on Thursday night, brings it through turn 4 through the quad oval for the last time. Gary Slapinski is your winner here at Charlotte. 777 of Michael Pegg bringing it home second. The 85 of Al Cena comes back third. 43 of Sandy Curtis fourth, and the 59 of Ralph Blair comes across the stripe 5th. Excellent race from all of these gentlemen. Absolutely dominant performance from our top 2, the 78 of Gary Sapinski and the 777 of Michael Pegg. Hats off to both of these guys. So we'll go ahead and we'll start collecting our top 3 while Gary Sapinski comes to the start-finish line and burns it down. All right, and we have our top 3 finishers with us. We'll start with the third place finisher, the 85 of Al Cena. Al, this is William in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I think I got you.
Well, Al, I'd say you probably had one of the more exciting races this evening. Started 18th, finished 3rd. Walk us through getting through the field there. That's quite a deficit to make up.
Yeah, that was a lot of work there. I was trying not to burn my tires up and kind of take it easy, but I couldn't wait around too long because Gary and Michael, they'd probably check out. So I had to kind of hit it a little bit harder than I'd like to.
Yeah, it looks like you made it. I mean, when you made it through the field, it looks like you were making excellent time. There was a period there where you were starting to track them down, and I was really thinking when you pitted before them that you were really able to make up a lot of time, and you were. What was it? I mean, there was only about a lap difference between you and Michael there on your pits. Was the tire wear really that bad that that tires even a lap older showed?
Tire wear wasn't that bad. It's just I figured if I could pit a couple of 3 laps early, might be able to close the gap on a little bit and maybe force them to run a little harder or something. But it just didn't pay off. I was the one that ended up having to run hard, and so just didn't quite get there.
It was still an excellent showing from you. I mean, you did force them both probably to reaction pit to you. Otherwise, you would have checked out. I firmly believe. No, an excellent running from you, Al. I don't see you race too much. I like seeing you come out here and run with us.
Well, I'm gonna try to get out here more often with these guys. I usually run the super speedways with them, but I haven't been running the 1.5 miles and such. But hopefully, I can start doing a lot more of these.
Well, we enjoyed having you. I enjoyed talking to you. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Well, I just want to thank Lucky Dog for putting all this on. Thanks to Michael and Brian and everybody that's involved in this. Just a bunch of great racers in here. Just probably the best of the best as far as I'm concerned. I've been doing this a long time, and it's always a fun race. So, and also thank you for doing the announcement. You're doing one hell of a job.
Well, thank you, sir. I hope we see you next time, and I'll look forward to talking to you again.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll go to our second place finisher, Michael Pegg. Michael, hell of a run tonight. Started first. I believe you led most of the laps tonight. I was a little surprised on that last pit stop. You weren't able to get out ahead of Gary. You had a little problem on pit road?
Well, I should have pitted when I saw Al. We went 2 more laps. And Gary's just lethal, man. There's times he can get in and get out. He's not one to mess around with on pit row. He just had a better pit than I did.
Okay, now that was something we were wondering up here because he came out well ahead of both of you. I'm like, how did he do that? So, no, just...
He's been known to do that, pull a rabbit out before, and he did it again tonight.
It was absolutely dominant run that you had early on. I believe you led over 60 laps tonight. The longer that race went on, we weren't seeing the tire fall off that maybe we were expecting. Did you really get figured out where your line was and how to run it really well?
My first run was better than my second run. My second run, there's too much traffic and stuff trying to weed through. My tire wear wasn't as good. It was more difficult on the second run than the first run. First one seemed like a better set of tires. More clean air. Once Gary got out front, then I had a lot of dirty air to deal with.
And the way I mean, you mentioned the second set of tires was a lot worse, and obviously you were dealing with dirty air. I'm almost wondering, how... I've never asked anyone about this before, but how do you think when iRacing does their oval overhaul, when they start adding, the rubber buildup on the track and the marbles up top, how do you think that's going to adjust how these trucks handle?
Probably a good bit. Every year they do an upgrade. A lot of people complain because the setup's changed, but a lot of people went to fix, and it's been working out pretty good. I think it's going to be a lot of challenges coming forward. We'll see. It could be slick. Could change the tire wear drastically. I don't know if that's going to build up on the tires. If you can clean them off on the bottom, that's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
It'll be interesting to see how drivers like you and Gary Slipinski adapt to that, because it's probably going to come with a whole new set of skill challenges.
Every time they do a new tire model, yeah, it definitely does. We learned that with the Gen 7.
Well, it's good talking to you again, Michael. Absolutely phenomenal race from you this evening. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to you for Lucky Dog Broadcasting. You've done an excellent job want to thank all the Lucky Dog racers that came out tonight, all the people that watch. Want to thank God himself, and give a shout out to Brian. He's going through some difficulty tonight, and his family's having some hard times. And I want to thank Tracy, Molly, and Cash, and all the regulators.
Well, thank you, Michael. Absolutely phenomenal race, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we'll go ahead and go over to our leader, our winner, Gary Slipinski, 78. Sure. Gary, William in the booth, you got me?
Yes. Go ahead.
How did you not blow your engine during that burnout?
I still haven't blown my engine. It's still running.
Like, I watched you do a burnout pretty much the entire length of pit road. I'm like,
it's
how?
Still good. It's still good. I think I blew out the tires though.
I mean, I've tried that the last few times I've been in the sim and just can't get it to last more than like 15 seconds. So you, sir, I need to start running some races with you so I can learn how to do it.
I can probably do a lap around here.
There we go. So the question I want to ask you, you stayed out longer than any of the other top three, Al, Michael, and somehow you were able to get on and off pit road on older tires and get like a half-second lead of them coming off of pit road. How did you do that?
Man, I got into that pit road really, really good. That's the key. I've been learning that, and just as hard as you can run it into that pit lane without speeding. I did it perfectly tonight. I mean, I was right on the money. And I really didn't practice either. I just remember one of the marks I seen on the wall here, and I was like, that's the mark. And I drove it in there, slammed it down, hit it down to third, and it stuck. I went right down to 45 miles an hour. I said, wow, this is going to be a good pit. And sure enough, I got off pit road and banging through the gears, and I was like, wow, I'm way out before everybody else. So I actually did a really good pit stop in that one. I was very impressed myself.
I mean, it was extraordinarily impressive to watch from up here, because when you stayed out, I was thinking, oh, here we go. Michael's gonna run away with it, and here you came off pit road. I mean, impressed with you all night, able to run right up on Michael's rear bumper, even through that entire long green flag section. Looks like you had this truck pretty much figured out all night.
Yeah, it felt really good tonight, even with the dirty air behind Michael. I was just sitting behind Michael there, just chilling and saving my fuel, and figured I'd save the most fuel I can. Actually, I was hoping there was always going to be a caution that one run, and I was going to go just one stop. That was my plan. I was going to save it. I was clutching, and when I was behind Michael, I was only running like 3/4, maybe half sometimes. So I was saving fuel. I had about 4 laps, and I probably could have made it on one stop. So that would have been nice.
Yeah, that was something that I was talking with a few of the drivers about during practice, was that you could have made it pretty much the whole way on one stop. And so it was interesting there during that first green flag stint before that second caution to see the people saving. Do you think that if you'd been able to save in that long run, that probably would have been the play?
Yep, that was my play all along. Yep, and it probably would have worked. I mean, I had to save, maybe give up a little bit on the racetrack, but it definitely would have been the checker flag way to go, I think, the way for that.
Well, I think I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but dominant performance between you and Michael. Excellent pit stop, definitely where the race was won right there. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I'm going to thank you tonight. You guys, you're doing an awesome job. We're all very impressed, and I just want to say thank you. I'm going to thank Lucky Dog. I'm going to thank Brian and Michael. Michael especially, he's been helping me out, and I just want a big shout out for him and his family there, and my side of the family here too, and God above. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Gary. Excellent race tonight. Look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
That was our top 3 finishers. Want to take a second, our second and our first place drivers, Michael Pegg and Gary Slipinski, both called him out, but we want to go ahead and give a shout out to Brian Pierce. He's the one who did the setup for the stream. He is the mastermind behind what I'm doing. So take an opportunity to call out, mention Brian Pierce, let him know we're all thinking about him. If he needs any help, he knows that Lucky Dogs have his back. I want to take an opportunity to thank all of our drivers. Without you guys, we would not be doing these. So thank you and the excellent driving you do. And want to thank the viewer, because otherwise, without viewers, we're just wasting our time. So thank you for staying with us. I'll be back with you next Tuesday for Gen 6s on, I'm not certain what track we're at, but not knowing is half the fun.